Kalki University. Philosophy Chapter 1st Lesson 2nd. B.ED. Modern Concept of Education. Modern Education Concept. Audio Notes. Perspective in Sociological and Philosophical Bases of Education. Semester 1st. Bachelor of Education. Audio Notes for Examination, Language English. It's not about how bad you want it, it's about how hard you are willing to work for it. Synopsis. Modern Concept of Education. Aims of Education. Curriculum. Methods of Teaching. Discipline. Examination. Agencies of Education. Teacher. Child. School. Education as a discipline. Modern concept of education. To understand the modern concept of education, one has to make comparative study of the old and modern concepts of education. A clear concept of modern education by a comparative study of the two. Old. New. The modern concept of education means to develop the inherent capacities of a child in the social environment, society. In the old concept, education was to process ready-made tidbits of knowledge. The mind is a dynamic self-adjusting and self-learning force which needs proper guidance for wholesome growth and development. Thus, modern education seeks to develop the mind according to its own inherent capacities in a social environment, self-learning. Aims of education. Ancient education emphasized scholarship and mental development only. Acquiring more and more knowledge was regarded as the prime aim according to old concept of education. Modern educationists lay equal stress upon other aspects of development, viz. Physical, mental, emotional, and social. Thus, the aim of modern education is to develop individuality to the full and attain social efficiency and dynamism. Curriculum. In the old curriculum, only subjects promoted merely mental development were included and emphasized. Old curriculum got confined mostly to classroom activities and experiences. Modern curriculum is flexible, tries to meet the needs of the developing child as well as the demands of our changing modern society. Methods of teaching. Old methods emphasized on role of memorization. Thus, education was quite lifeless. Modern methods condemn role memorization. Promote adoption of lively and effective methods like playway, learning by doing, learning by experience, etc. These modern methods stimulate motivation, interest, and attention. Discipline. Old concept of discipline emphasized the use of rod and punishments to enforce obedience and discipline in children. This concept of enforced discipline through repression, no punishment, has now been given up by all educationists. The modern concept is self-discipline. Examination. The old method of essay-type examination, role memorization. Modern techniques evaluate as well as examine. Such techniques and tools are objectives tests, progress reports, cumulative records, interviews, and practical performances. Agencies of education. According to old beliefs, school was the only agency for the education of children. But according to modern views, all formal and informal agencies are harnessed to the task of education. A teacher. Old education put the teacher at the top of the educational process. In modern times, a teacher is considered as a friend, philosopher, and guide. Child. According to the old concept, the child was a mere passive recipient of whatever the teacher instructed. Now, education has become child-centered. Develop him according to his nature. He is to interact actively with the teacher and classmates to achieve effective learning. Promoting his own development and the development of the society of which he is an integral part. School. According to old concept, school served as a shop for selling knowledge. Everything was pre-planned in advance. Teachers were concerned mainly with the input and bothered little about output. Modern concept of education regards school as a miniature of society. Education as a discipline. In ancient times, Education meant only training of something for some aim. Modern times education is a separate discipline of deep study, investigation, and research. It is a very important process of human development in all fields of human activities. It has its own distinct special features and factors to promote it as a vital formative process. 1. Distinct subject matter. 2. Relation between subject matter and act. 3. Distinct techniques of work. 4. Distinct research methodologies. 5. Specific field of study, and 6. Its own faculty of related studies. Importance of education. Education is important from various points of view. Essentially, it is a process of development of child's inner capabilities. It inculcates in a child higher moral and social ideal together with spiritual values, to form a strong character useful to his own self and the society of which he is an integral part. Education meets the immediate needs of a child and also prepares him for his future life. Education develops all his intellectual and emotional powers so that he is able to meet the problems of life and solve them successfully, self-problem facing capabilities. It also develops social qualities of service, tolerance, cooperation, fellow feeling, even his life for the glory and prosperity of his country. Last but not the least, education infuses in the child a spirit of dynamic citizenship which eggs him on and on in the service of his nation, keeping into consideration the international understanding and well-being of humanity as a whole, nationalism and humanism. Thank you.